Hi guys, this is Gary Fong, and I'm doing this video to explain to you what is going on with the United States government shutdown and the upcoming default on the U.S. debt. So the reason why I'm doing this is because there's so few of my friends that know anything about what's going on, and this is something that I pay a lot of attention to. And so I want to explain to you basically what's happening and what could happen. So let's start from the beginning. From the beginning, we have a United States debt that's $16.7 trillion in size. Now, this is a country that's gross domestic product is about 14 trillion. So it owes a lot more than it makes in a year. And I'm not talking about the expenses, I'm talking about the gross sum of everything that everybody earns, everybody produces, is about 14 trillion. Worse than that, the United States government only collects about $2 trillion in tax revenues. So to owe $16.7 trillion is an amount that's simply not repayable. It's a couple $100,000 per individual in the United States. So this is not going to really get paid for. And what basically Congress has done is they've voted these ceilings that say, you know what, United States, you guys cannot stop spending. We're going to make a law that says that you have to stop spending at a certain level. Problem is we've increased that level so many times, like probably 60 times since the debt level ceiling has been introduced. That's a problem because we're going to go into this thing all the time. We're constantly in deficit. The deficit, they say, is shrinking, but they keep changing the measures. But anyway, let's talk about the $16.7 trillion that's owing. How did we get that $16.7 trillion of money that we borrowed? The way we got it was because we were selling what's called United States Treasury bonds, or T-bills, 10-year T-bills, to anyone who would buy them. You could buy one right now. And so what it is you pay $100 and you get a little piece of paper that says you'll get your $100 back in 10 years. And up until May, you get 1.86% per year. That is really bad. That's like, you know what, I'm going to give you $100,000. You can keep my $100,000 for 10 years. All I want is $1,860 back per year. That's a terrible investment, yet it has been one of the most popular investments of them all. It's been highly considered the safest investment you could possibly get into because it's backed in full faith of the government of the United States. So it's been popular because the country has gone through the internet .com bust, it's gone through the housing cycle crash, and then it's also gone through the recent Lehman mortgage derivatives crash. So everyone's like going, look, I'm going to get a really crappy return at 1.86%, but what the heck, it's safe. That's the problem, because right now, on October 17th, anybody who comes to the United States and says, you know what, I've held on to this damn thing for 10 years. I want my $100 back. The United States is going to say, we don't have it to pay you. If the United States cannot pay this current bond, guess what? You got a whole lot of people holding the same piece of paper. You've got China that's got $1.2 trillion worth of these things. Japan's got over $1 trillion worth of them. Your retirement pension fund probably has a lot of them. Your life insurance probably has a lot of treasury-backed instruments, as well as many of your mortgages right now. More than 50% of them are backed by United States government debt. So if this goes, everybody is going to go, oh shit, where is my money? Well, United States doesn't have it to pay it. So guess what? I want to sell this thing. Well, who am I going to sell it to? Oh, I'm going to sell it to this guy. Well, I'm not going to buy it because if I take this to the Treasury, I'm going to give it to him and say, I want my $100 for this piece of paper. And they're going to say, you know what? We don't have it. What's that going to do? That's going to cause everybody who has this to go running to the Treasury and saying, we want this. We're going to try to sell it on the open market. United States is going to say, we don't have it. And guess what? Those treasuries become worthless. That's not just the problem. The problem is derivatives, derivative instruments that come off of these treasuries. It's a very complicated thing, but this is what caused the housing market blow up. Derivatives are 100-to-1 leverage on these treasuries, which means at the moment there's about $220 trillion worth of treasuries. That is more than the entire gross domestic product of the entire world. And that is actual wealth. That's $220 trillion that somebody thinks that they have right now. Okay, so say for example you've worked very, very hard, you got a retirement fund, and you saved $100,000 worth of Treasury bonds. On October 17th, they'll be worth zero. If these guys are worth zero, then guess what? The United States is going to say, we need to pay this debt. Yes, I understand that we can't we can't pay these obligations anymore, but man, we got bills to pay. I understand the government shut down, we've got 800,000 people out of work, but on October 17th, they're going to say, world, we need to pay our bills, and guess what? Who's going to buy the new treasuries? Well, they're going to say, okay, well, the new treasuries, I know that we've defaulted, so we're going to give you 10% on these things, 20% on these things, 30% on these things. What's going to happen at that point is interest rates are going to skyrocket, and these things will continue to be worthless, because when you start selling a 10% treasury, what do you think this old one that has 1.86 is going to be worth on the open market if the brand new ones are paying 10%? It's like saying that Honda is now selling Accords for $1,000, but I got a $3,000 Honda Accord, and now I certainly can't sell it for $3,000 because new ones are coming out at $1,000. So the treasuries are going to go, and the treasuries are the biggest thing in the entire world that runs the entire world. The entire world economy is based somehow on United States treasuries. If this defaults, $220 trillion worth of wealth gets completely wiped out. That money is gone. It goes to money heaven, and what happens from that point on, who knows? Nobody knows. All we know is that we lost a very small fraction of that in the housing bubble crisis, and look what it did to the markets. It made us create TARP. It made us bail out Bank of America, Wells Fargo. It made us consolidate banks that were about to go insolvent. Countrywide disappeared. General Motors almost folded, and we had to do all of these programs that added to our debt to try to stimulate these economies back. But that money is going to be completely gone. When that money is gone, United States cannot borrow, United States cannot sell any of its debt. All of the people who had United States debt, all that money is going to be completely gone, and there really is going to be nowhere to start over. So what will happen on the 17th is your dollar will probably buy a lot less gas. Your interest rates on your home, say for example they're in the 4% range and you're paying $1,500 a month, it could go to 12% really quickly. So your $1,500 a month now becomes $4,500, and would you be able to stay in your home? If you can, lucky you, but what happens to everybody else? And what happens to the job market if $220 trillion is lost? Then, on top of that, you've got 800,000 government workers currently on furlough. Now, the majority of United States people are about 1 to 2 paychecks away from not being able to pay their mortgage or their rent. You've now got basically eight days into the government shutdown where these people, they say they're going to vote them back pay, but right now they've got landlords that want to get paid. Those people, they're probably 12 days away, some of them fewer, from actually being kicked out of their homes. What is that going to do to the economy? So this government shutdown is serious. The debt default is absolutely probably going to be the worst thing that is going to happen to the entire world in the history of the world. We've got a world right now where all the countries are printing money basically out of thin air, backed by nothing. So it's big. And it's so big, I cannot believe that the President, the House, and the Senate aren't all sitting in chambers right now 24 hours a day. We've got minute-by-minute countdown until October 17th, and yet what's happening right now? Everybody's sitting at their own side. Nobody's even talking. President Obama called